Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here for a very special Fun Friday, sitting in for Christy Olson, who is out on assignment. He is from Forbes. He is from the Wrestling Inc. podcast late at night here at Wrestling Inc. It's Alfred Konuwa. Alfred, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
What's going on? It's great to be here. It is a fun Friday, Nick. That's why I brought my fun shirt.
Oh, nice. That is a fun shirt.
Absolutely.
Very tropical. Very tropical.
Very relaxing. Yeah, I like it. I like the energy that it puts off.
It's kind of like an old school Bray Wyatt shirt.
Oh, it is. It is. I feel like he's going to come up sometime during this conversation, but that's for later on. A little foreshadowing there, but it is like a Bray Wyatt shirt.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, okay, a little tease here. I guess the Fiend's going to come up later. All right, well, hey, we got a great show planned for everybody out there today. We got a lot of news for the past 24 hours. The comment section is open and popping. You guys are welcome to jump to the comment section. We already have Praddock in here. Hello, good morning, guys. Hi, Praddock. Good to see you. Thank you for starting the show on a positive note. We'll throw your comments up on the screen, really wherever you're at. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the comments, we get them all right here in the Mecca feed. So jump on in. We'll make you guys a part of the conversation here today. If you're listening in audio form, you know the drill. You're going to get an exclusive bit of audio here on the show today. Today's audio to close out the week, part 2 of new Wrestling Inc. contributor Drew Rice's interview with Nikita Koloff. Looking back at feuding with the Horsemen, talking about the insane number of matches he did in 1986. Part 2, it's great. If you like part 1, you're going to love part 2. And we're going to be premiering that over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel here in a little less than an hour, 58 minutes, if you're watching us in video form. So jump on over, enjoy that after the daily here. And then at the end of the show, for everybody, video, audio alike, we'll dive in the mailbag, and we're going to look at who you want to see Edge face at SummerSlam, which is a whole different kettle of fish. But let's get to some different news here to start the show. News you can use, news that'll leave a bruise. WWE has announced that the Hell in a Cell match between Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns is going to happen tonight on Smackdown instead of at the pay-per-view. Mysterio issued the challenge on Twitter saying, "It's eating me up inside. I can't wait any longer. I want my Hell in a Cell match tonight." Reigns tweeted back basically saying Paul's going to handle the paperwork. The Observer saying people close to the situation said there was no clear reason as to why the match was moved. That made any sense, at least. But there were a bunch of creative talks on Thursday, and those talks led to the match being done on SmackDown. Regarding the Cell pay-per-view on Sunday, current plans as of now call for Reigns not to wrestle at all. There is only one Cell match announced for Sunday as of this writing, Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. There have been rumors on Cesaro and Rollins being added to the card, but no word on if that's going to happen in the Cell, though I guess you could. But anyway, why do you think they're doing this, Alfred?
I have no worldly idea. This is just more WWE disorganization. I don't know why they moved forward with Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio for a Hell in a Cell match to begin with, because, Rey Mysterio is always going to be one of my favorites ever. He's great. He's a Hall of Famer and this, that, and the other. But the way they booked Roman Reigns, they're just not enough time to establish Rey Mysterio as anything resembling a credible challenger, especially after last week's segment where he just destroyed Rey Mysterio and his son. And they're just moving this around like this. I just never liked the idea of Hell in a Cell being this pay-per-view where they have a set date for it, regardless of what the date is, because that used to be their biggest match where you have this blood feud that needs to be settled. It calls upon the Hell in a Cell, and that's why it would draw. But they've completely bastardized it to where this is just more evidence them moving it around like this. They also had a very built-in story with Jimmy Uso versus Roman Reigns. I mean, they've done a great job building that feud up, whether or not that's the plan. And I've heard all along it's not for them to have a match. But you think about how Roman Reigns just abused the Usos inside of a cell this last year. To pay that off this year would actually make sense. They could back into something like that and make it seem like it was long-term storytelling. So I have no idea why they're doing Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio, and I have no idea why it's changed now.
All right, one thing at a time. All right, I'm going to just play devil's advocate here. I think that the Rey Mysterio Roman stuff, I actually like Rey in the spot right now because we're at the very end of the no crowds, right? Roman has to have one more impactful emotional thing to get over the hump. This is the end of Act 1, whatever they have planned for Act 2, the bigger names, the stuff they want to do to impress the crowds, that's going to start at Money in the Bank, right? Where they have the first big show in front of fans. So you got to do one more thing, Alfred. You got to establish this guy one more time before you bring the fans back. Like you said, everybody loves Rey Mysterio. It's not a very hard story to tell. Roman, go murder Dominic. Ray hates you. You're going to get one more big win over a big name before we bring the fans back. I really think that's all the logic there is to this, Alfred.
Sure.
Right?
No, absolutely. And listen, here's the thing about Roman. It's kind of a double-edged sword because people complain that, oh, he's too dominant. I love the way they're booking Roman Reigns. And that does mean that, yes, sometimes he's going to face an opponent that people aren't going to perceive as challenger to Roman Reigns. But A, that's one of the challenges for WWE, to come up with ways to make that challenger viable. And B, that's one of the drawbacks of when you know where a story's going. Yes, it gets predictable, but the payoff in the end, ultimately, I think is going to be very satisfying.
Yeah. The other things I'll say, why do it on Friday SmackDown, right? I think it could be two reasons. If I had to get inside their brain and think for a moment. One, it's going to bring a big rating, right? I mean, SmackDown viewership has been pretty kind of stagnant here for a little bit. It would be nice to, put up a big number, especially, again, right before you're bringing fans back to do something that's going to create some interest. So there's that. And there's also the issue of, like, with Roman on the pay-per-views, he really has monopolized the main event. We hear those reports like we can't have anybody else close the show because Roman's the only marquee name value person we have at the moment. Well, if you take his and you do his match on SmackDown, you pop this big rating, you can give Bobby and Drew that moment in earnest to close the show. And that's why I would really hope that they don't do Cesaro, Rollins, and a cell because, like you said, this is supposed to be the blow off. And if there's anybody that I would rather see, two men I'd rather see have the end of their feud and never wrestle again for a while, it would be Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. I think we're all kind of a little long in the tooth for it, right?
100%. Yeah, and that's a good point too, in terms of they are very careful with how they slot Roman Reigns. And I've read those reports too, that it's either he goes first or he goes last. You can't put him in the middle of the card. So maybe they felt handcuffed by that in terms of how they're going to slot the card this Sunday, and decided, and it will hopefully do a big rating. I don't know, like the last time we said that, and that was the feeling, that was that Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, and that was for a title with a big stipulation, but people didn't really buy into the stipulation, and it didn't do a good rating. And this is another situation where you would think on paper a Hell in a Cell match on TV would do a big number, but they've done a number on the value to Hell in a Cell, so I don't know if it will.
We're going to get to some comments here in just a second, but the last thing I wanted to mention here with Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley inside the cell, actually, shoot, I forgot about it. I'll think about it again. I was thinking of reading the comments here for a second. I got one more thing. Oh, no, it's because if you don't have Roman in a match for Sunday, is there something else that they have in mind for him, right? Like, is there somebody coming back? Is there a bigger segment that they think is going to lead to something or keep people's tongues wagging that does not involve Roman Reigns inside that cell with Rey Mysterio? And I don't know what that X could be, but that is something that's definitely I thought about while reading this. We'll get to comments after that. But any thoughts on that?
Who knows? I mean, it would seem like a little bit of a throwaway if they have like a big return or something like that at this particular pay-per-view, given that there's no fans. It's like their last hurrah inside the empty Thunderdome. But that's a good point. Maybe they didn't want to take away from that match and they have something planned there, but I wouldn't imagine what that would be. Maybe this is where Bray Wyatt comes back.
Yeah, but again, like whatever happens at the show is going to set the tone for whatever they're going to do when the fans come back. So you're not going to get the meat, but you're going to get like some green beans here, right? They're going to start to serve you the main course, and you're going to start to see what they have in store for when the fans are back. So I don't know if you set the seeds there on this show with everybody watching for what could be at Money in the Bank. And that's, I guess, a very broad idea, right? But that's just something to put in the back of my head. All right. First of all, you're very popular, Dino. Hey, Alfred, my favorite chat on Twitter. Phil. Yes, Alfred is great. He is a great comedian too. Check him out. Thanks, we also have Tad Predicts. Hey, Alfred's on. Awesome.
You guys are spoiling me. Now, come on, let's keep them going.
I mean, no. By the way, we have Escobar here asking if you're on vacation. You're not. You're just wearing a fashionable shirt today. Right?
I am on vacation in some ways. I'm in the lovely city of Portland, Oregon. I'm doing stand-up here all week. It's been very nice. And so I'm in some ways on vacation during the day. I have the days to myself. And so, yeah, I guess I technically am on vacation.
Let's see here. We have, from Dino here, 2 cell matches and 1 pay-per-view waters the concept down. Plus, Lashley hinted at spectacle stunt on his cell match. When did that happen? Was that one of the interviews he did this week?
It might have been a recent interview. I did see that. I didn't read the interview, but I did see that he said something like there might be a big stunt on the Hell in a Cell match. But, that's kind of the general rule of doing multiple Hell in a Cell matches in one night. I think that's what, if they're going to have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, maybe it should just be one of them. So I don't have a problem with it in that sense, in that you're just going to have one cell match. You're not going to have to worry about doing 2 different matches and doing different spots and saving one certain spot for the other one. So maybe this will make Drew and Bobby's Hell in a Cell match that much better.
I love Phil here. It'll be Jimmy versus Roman in the cell, just like they did Jay versus Roman. So I'm guessing somehow Jimmy gets involved in the Ray match and he beats Ray, and then he's like, God damn it, I want you this Sunday. I'm going to do 2 back-to-back Hell in a Cell matches.
Yeah. I mean, that would, if they did it like that, that should have been the direction this whole time. So if they ended up doing Jimmy versus Roman, it's like you only have yourself to blame, because back when Roman was feuding with Cesaro, Jimmy versus Roman felt like the hotter program, and they just haven't pulled the trigger on that. So if they do that at the last second, it'd be very weird.
Dude, yeah. I would be upset. I'd be upset about that. I'd do this one too. It'll probably end up in a no contest and end up on the pay-per-view. And this is more build-up. I hope, Antonio, that you are wrong.
Oh my goodness. Like, the Hell in a Cell, everything they've done with that match and just all the bad will that it has, you cannot have any screwy Hell in a Cell finishes from now, maybe for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, not that it's going to make that much of a difference, but this thing has been through enough.
Yeah, Jonathan Lehman here. Just a couple thoughts before we move on to the next thing. This Hell in a Cell is going to be good, and ratings will be huge. And I agree with both those points for tonight. I literally... Yesterday, I saw like a commercial or something. Maybe it was during the China doc, they ran a Hell in a Cell commercial. I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but it was like this Friday on SmackDown, Hell in a Cell, Roman Reigns. And I was like, what? Maybe I saw this on social media. I was like, did I have a stroke?
Yeah.
Did I like, I watched SmackDown, right? Like, I know what's that. I really was very, very, and I do wonder if they have enough time to get the word out that this thing is happening, right? I feel like a lot of people maybe not know that this is actually going down tonight.
Yeah, they're really going to have to go into overdrive, because this was in the last couple of days that they've announced this. So they're really going to have to go overboard in terms of promoting this event. And I, too, am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. It's just weird that it's getting positioned like this.
Yeah, dude, I'm actually going to be watching this likely live tonight and chatting along with everybody, because, I mean, who doesn't want to watch Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief, destroy Rey Mysterio in a cell? And, I mean, there's no chance Rey takes his title tonight, right? Like that,
right.
That doesn't happen, right?
No, not a chance in hell. I don't think, listen, they do say anything can happen in WWE. So I want to keep my words soft and sweet, but I don't see any chance of Rey Mysterio taking this title. And later on, after this big match, I will be on with the Wrestling Podcast covering SmackDown. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing and reacting to what happens tonight.
There you go. And look, Spaceman 584, Alfred 100, right?
300 emojis.
More positivity about Alfred being here today. Wow, Christy, right? Come on. Everybody misses Christy too, right? Let's say some nice things about her. Also, at WrestleVotes reporting, WWE considering doing more themed events once they return to touring next month. They're potentially looking at doing them in later this year, early 2022. It was noted that Old School Raw, King of the Ring, and a viewer's choice show similar to Cyber Sunday are all possible for the coming months. Good idea, bad idea.
Very good idea. WWE needs to make use of a lot of this branding that they have. And in addition to King of the Ring and a lot of these names, I mean, they have like a whole library of these WCW pay-per-views. Like, I think they own Super Brawl and stuff like that. So these TV specials that are kind of like pay-per-views, kind of like what we've seen from NXT, which I think is a great model. And on a smaller scale has proven to be a ratings winner to have the Great American Bash on TV and stuff like that. AEW does this with Bash at the Beach. So I think WWE, in terms of their old school Raws, and the last time they did that retro SmackDown, that was the highest rating they've had, I think, all year. So WWE should make use of this. Obviously, don't bastardize it and do it too much, but I would like to see more of these themed events, because some of these Raws especially are very hard to get through when they don't seem to have a purpose or direction. And I think having these themed events helps WWE organize its thoughts a lot better.
Yeah, and the King of the Ring, man, I've been really surprised this week how much interest genuinely has been there. I mean, the site, we've had some posts that did some big numbers just on people even wanting to know like, what's the deal? We're like, we don't even know, but like, here's what we don't know, right? And even that generated interest. So I'm with you, man. I think these are going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what a renewed Cyber Sunday event looks like. It's been a while since they've done one of those. I would be interested to see how they represent it now.
Yeah, it was a little ahead of its time in terms of a concept, because now it would be so easy to pull off in terms of social media and building that up. The problem with the Cyber Sundays or the Taboo Tuesdays is, wrestling is this kind of this business built on who's going to face whom. Like, what match do you have built up? If you go into an event saying, well, you're going to have to go and vote, but we really don't know what the matches are going to be, it's very hard to sell tickets. And I think that's why they ultimately ended it. But I always liked those Taboo Tuesdays. I really like that element of surprise because it's a complete shoot. They do not know who's going to win what a vote, and they have to pretty much do that on the fly.
Yeah. I remember back like on Nitro, they did at least one week where they had like a bunch of wrestlers in like a blue room and another one in a red room. You could like call to pick which wrestlers you thought should fight. I was as a child, I was like, this is mind blowing. I always try to put myself in the seat of someone much younger than myself, experience a lot of this stuff for the first time, So
yeah, that's awesome. I like that. It makes it seem like an actual sport when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. I guess like, hey, use the hashtag Pujols, right, to pick the lineup.
Yeah, not necessarily. I'm not talking about the actual Cyber Sunday concept, but just like separating the guys, putting them in the locker room in their own like little element,
All right, I want to take a step back here for a second. Braddock was bringing up Cain Velasquez. I didn't know why, but he's saying, could you see Ray bringing in Cain Velasquez on SmackDown? Is it Cain? Is he still with WWE, or didn't they let him go? Or is he
I think they did let him go. Last I heard, I don't think he's still with them.
Okay, a great idea, Braddock. I wanted to bounce that off you. I didn't want to take the time to Google, but I don't think Cain's with WWE at the moment.
No, I really don't think so. I think I did hear that he was actually let go, but I don't know 1,000% for sure, but I'm pretty sure he's not there anymore.
Yeah,
because a while ago.
Yeah, but like that would be good though. Yeah, I would.
I mean, they really dropped the ball with him. I thought that there was a lot of potential there, and I mean, there's probably financial issues or other reasons behind his release or whatnot. But I think that would be perfect in terms of bringing him back in this spot. It's very similar to what they did when he came out and attacked Brock. Because he got this guy who's much bigger than Ray, and he needed backup.
Yeah. Also, more praise for Alfred. Jeff Hulke here. Alfred is styling and profiling with that Hawaiian shirt this morning. Man, I gotta wear something less boring than these colored T-shirts every day. I gotta get some more attention on myself. So
we'll get matching Hawaiian. We'll be like a tag team.
Phil confirming Kane did get released with the first group of releases in 2020. I thought so. Okay.
Yeah.
Next item here. It looks like WWE is going to move forward with the Dewdrop name as the new ring name for Piper Niven. They filed for the trademark on June 16th. This indicates they are moving forward with that as Niven's new name. I just don't get like why she can't just be Piper Niven. Like they've been using her name, right? It's weird, isn't it?
It really is. And who knows what this Dewdrop thing is going to go. But Piper Niven has been her name. She's built quite the brand on the Piper Niven name. She's with WWE, NXT UK. And it's one of those things where whenever these wrestlers who are associated with WWE and on WWE programming come in, and then the announcer's just like, oh, who is that? Who's this mystery woman? It's like, if you're a professional, you would know that. You know that that's affiliated with your organization. But I guess the reason behind them doing that is they're going to change her name, which I'm not for. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Piper Niven is a very talented wrestler.
Piper Niven's great, right? She's carried herself this week very well, considering like the tumultuous, whatever, body shaming stuff that we've all been seeing. I just, I don't want to dwell on it anymore, but I just don't like this pairing. I don't like what we got on Monday night. Like, I'll give it a chance, but the first taste of the cake was not something I enjoyed. So
yeah, I mean, the idea, I think it's a good heel. It's got potential as a heel act. The idea that one person is going to wrestle and then the other person is going to continue to declare themselves as champion. There might be something there, but it's just very similar to what they're doing with Carmella, where Carmella will actually lose a match, but still the most beautiful woman in the world. So it's weird. You're right in terms of I'm kind of skittish on this. We'll see how this goes and how much they go with it. But so far, I'm very lukewarm to it. I don't hate it yet, but I'm lukewarm.
I don't know if it was retribution levels of throwing Molotov cocktails at the height of like social justice chaos in America, but it was not. I had similar like, oh, this doesn't feel right for the moment. I don't think that this is going to fly,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but, I mean, to their credit, they just went out there, they squashed her. They didn't do anything wacky with Piper Niven yet. So I'm interested in seeing the promos and what the ideas are behind pairing these two. I think that's when this is going to go, interesting for one way or another, is Eva telling everybody why she's paired with Piper.
Yeah, and I like Retro Junior 79 here. I get not using Piper, right? Roddy Piper, but I could just go with Niven. She could just be Niven.
Yeah, they love cutting the names. Like, I think Piper is a cooler half of those names. And I think together it sounds really cool. Maybe they were afraid people would keep calling her Viper because it is easy to screw up the words and say Viper, and it's a Randy Orton thing. But I thought Piper Niven was a cool name.
I'm going to flip up the run sheet here real quick. Broken Skull Sessions interview. It has an interview. The Broken Skull Sessions, Steve Austin, he's got an interview with Mick Foley coming out on Sunday on Peacock. I'm guessing after Hell in a Cell, right? You'll be able to watch Mick and Steve.
Yeah, probably immediately after.
So to like hype this, Mick and Steve did this word association viral thing. And so Austin asked Mick about Cesaro. And this is what Mick said. It's generated a lot of conversation. He says, "Can I talk to the camera? Vince, please. You, Steve, you and I started in 88 or 89. 60 years of experience. We know a little something. We proved Vince wrong, right? He had us set for this level, and I'd say we exceeded that level. Trust us and give him the chance. Let him prove. I'll get down on my knees and I'll beg Vince, please. All we're saying is give Cesaro a chance. I just believe in that guy wholeheartedly. Give him a chance." And he's certainly getting more of a chance now than he's ever gotten in his WWE career. I mean, he's working with Rollins and Bayley on SmackDown, right?
100%. Like, I don't know this, and I saw the clip. Mick is just still so lovable, and he had the best documentary of anybody in terms of those A&E docs. Just want to get that out. But like, I don't know what this parallel universe he's living in, where Cesaro doesn't get a chance. I mean, Cesaro at WrestleMania 30, and we're almost at WrestleMania 38. He was at WrestleMania 30, and he had that great moment where he eliminated the Big Show. They tried to put him with Paul Heyman. That didn't work out. And he recently did get a chance to run with Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, that just, I mean, yes, he wasn't booked the best, but you only get so many chances in WWE, and they're not always going to be perfect. And the chances he's gotten, and they've been real chances, just have not worked out for Cesaro.
Yeah, and, he worked well with Reigns, right? Like, the match was good. I thought the match
is good, but yeah, the storyline people weren't into at all.
Dude, they are just feeding the beast with Roman, right? Waiting for that first big name for him to sink his teeth into for 2-3 months and tell a story. But until then, it's just who's next, pay-per-view to pay-per-view right now, Not that I think anybody's really complaining, but
yeah, and I think I'm fine with that. It's a necessary evil, and I'm completely fine with it, because long-term storytelling is something I think WWE, it's one of the top reasons I think there's been such a fall off in terms of viewership, is it's gotten less predictable and people don't feel like they're going to be rewarded for watching and tuning in. So this Roman Reigns storyline is an example of them doing right by that in terms of telling a long story. But you're going to get some predictable matches like Roman Reigns and Rey and whatnot. But when it does come down to the matches, these are good matches in terms of how they're executed.
So Tad predicts as a super chat here, kind of a non sequitur, but just said one of the funniest WInc post-show moments was Alfred mentioning he used Manscaped before a date and got positive comments. Justin's reaction was priceless. So Justin, I'm guessing, is he not a Manscaped user? Or is he not?
No, he definitely is. Manscaped's a great sponsor for the show. And, they sent me a bunch of manscaping items, and I've gotten to use them, and they're incredible. I was talking about how aerodynamic I was. I was being very PG, but Manscaped this is not me going into business. Unfortunately, I don't have it around here. Oh, there you go. Right there on camera. Manscaped has changed my love life for the better. That's all I will say in terms of it being the morning and me being at liberty to talk about that stuff. It's great. Great product.
They don't sponsor this show yet. They do sponsor Waltman's show that I do with him. And I will also say, Manscaped, the thing about this is it's good, for the down there. But also, like, I shaved my armpits, because I wear tank tops now in the summer. It was the easiest pit shave I've ever had in my entire life. So
that's what I love about it. No tangles or anything like that. It's not uncomfortable. It's very, very well done.
All right, cool. Well, now they have to sponsor the show. I believe that we need to get paid for what we just did for Manscaped. I guess Tad super chatted us. So Tad, do you work for Manscaped? Like, did you set this up? All right. Okay.
Yeah, we'll find out where Tad really works for. But hey, good for you, man. Good product placement.
Okay. Here's my pivot story. So this is part WWE, part AEW. So the Observer saying WWE NXT entrances were reportedly cut back earlier this year due to a theory on fans switching the channel to AEW Dynamite. Now, this is no longer an issue due to NXT moving to Tuesday nights, but Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels, who works as an NXT producer, felt that long ring entrances gave viewers more time to check out AEW. That's one of the reasons time for NXT entrances was cut back. Now, the story going around WWE is that Shawn's wife, Rebecca, who was a Nitro girl, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What, she was Spice, I believe.
Yeah, okay, so she's been around the business for a while. So Rebecca was watching NXT, reportedly told him that she thought the ring entrances were too long and giving people too much time to switch channels. So Michaels brought that up to Triple H. That contributed to the change being made. And there's also an idea of cutting back on ring entrances as a way to have more time for in-ring action and angles. What are your thoughts?
This just seems like another one of those weird WWE credences where, they're just trying to blame everything. But this is NXT, so it can't be Vince. But they always try to find these little reasons as to why people are tuning out. I remember there was that period of time where they were doing those horrible 2 out of 3 falls matches. And they decided if we have 2 out of 3 falls, then people stick around. And it just ended up being all cluttered. So this is just more of that. I don't think it's going to have a material impact. I don't think they're going to look at cutting down entrances as one of the reasons that NXT was better. But I will say people like Frankie Monet and Karrion Kross, hopefully they're able to have entrances so it stands out a little more. So maybe it'll make them seem like bigger stars.
Yeah, pros and cons. I agree with you. Pros and cons of this, right? But also, dude, I had completely from my brain scrubbed that 4-week period where Vince had decided we need more 2 out of 3 falls matches. And holy hell, that was awful.
Terrible.
You put it back in my head. I'm thinking about it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, see, I got triggered when I read that. That's the first thing I thought about. This is the next little crazy idea they've got. But, I don't think it'll be as distracting because I really didn't notice it until people started talking about it that they did cut the entrances down. So, I mean, it sounds like their hearts are in the right place. So we'll see how it goes.
Retro Junior 79, by the way, saying big mistake. Entrance is the best part of wrestling. Might as well get rid of their music. I do like a good entrance, but I think you're right. I think you use the longer entrances for the people you're pushing to make them feel bigger. Not to be disparaging of Imperium or Breezango, but I don't know that I need 90 seconds for them to get to the ring. I think I get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And I mean, it's not probably the reason that they're doing it, but in terms of cutting the fat and kind of emphasizing and telegraphing to the audience who the big stars are, I think this is actually a good idea.
All right, Alfred, here's the story. And we've been building to this. We have the peak viewership right now. So this is really the sweet spot story I wanted to get your take on. You work for Forbes. I am a dude who is not a financial guru by any stretch. My girlfriend is into crypto, so she kind of keeps me abreast of what is going on there. But this caught me out of left field yesterday. So AEW star MJF is the first pro wrestler to release his own cryptocurrency. So the leader of the Pinnacle took to Twitter to announce that he's partnered with Rally Network to release a $ MJF creator coin or social token. The $ MJF Rally profile page notes, my crypto coin is better than yours, and you know it. Check Twitter for random giveaways for whoever is holding the most $ MJF. What do you think of this? Is this a good idea?
I do think this is a good idea. And this is more of wrestlers kind of taking ownership. You can kind of think of this as kind of like a third-party deal in a sense. It's not really the same thing in terms of a wrestler getting a third-party deal, but this is MJF kind of partnering with Rally and creating his own cryptocurrency. And there's actually real money behind this. People can actually buy it. I think they limit the amount that you can buy, and it's gone up. I think it opened at like $2 or something like that, but gone up to around $6 or $7. So it's a gimmick. I don't expect this to explode and make people millionaires or whatnot, but I mean, who knows with Wall Street? But it's a good gimmick. It's good for his promotion. It's good to promote MJF in terms of doing something current like this, and it's more heel heat. And he'll get to go on TV and promote this. So I expect it to do quite nicely, considering it's really like a meme coin and something of a gimmick.
So I can already tell you know more about this, way more about this than me. So you can control the number. Nobody can go in and buy 10,000 times more of this than somebody else. That's not something.
No. I think they only limit how much. I think like $500 is a limit.
Okay, all right. Because when I checked in on it yesterday, it was over 8. I think it got to like 9 at some point yesterday. And if you bought it at 2 and you flipped it, mean, you may have may have bought yourself a lobster and steak dinner last night, you know, little surf and turf. My worry when I read this, and honestly, this makes me feel better knowing that, but my worry when I see this is a really volatile market, right? And I don't know that I don't know what MJF's motivations here or his concern for fans, but it does seem like if somebody very, that's easily influenced but doesn't know a lot about this, but it seems cool and fun, dropped a bunch of money into this thing, and then the bottom fell out. You could see fans realistically seeing repercussions for that. But if $500 the cap here, like you're saying, it doesn't seem like that's as big of an issue, or am I incorrect about that?
No, yeah, I don't think it would be as big as an issue. But to your point, that scenario you just painted out, I think MJF as just a pro and a heel's heel. In the back of his mind, I think this is exactly where he wants us to go. Like, I don't think he wants this thing to tank, but I think he's thinking of how juicy would it be if people lost their money because of me. Then they go on Twitter and yell at me. MJF would be having a field day with those people.
That doesn't seem like that doesn't seem fun to me, Alfred. That doesn't.
No. It's not fun to me either, but like MJF, I'm thinking like a heel here. MJF would love going on Twitter and being like, sorry, too bad you lost your money. I have money to lose. You should have been like me. It would just be the greatest heel work I think you could ever do.
Oh, I see. That's the thing, is that's not the way I want people getting heel heat, is by becoming actual carny grifters that, leave people with less than they had because they bought the firewater. That's not what I'm looking for here. That's ethically unsound in my opinion. So, but the $500 cap, I don't know. If $500, if that's your life savings and you lose it all in MJF coin, that's really sad. But I in my mind, I thought, because like if there was no cap, somebody can come in, buy 10,000 of it, push the stock up, sell, stock drops, everybody loses tons of money.
Yeah, especially that would be crazy. And with cryptocurrency, they've got all kinds of designs like that, so that stuff like that doesn't happen. But it's very difficult, cryptocurrency as well. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what it really is about. But MJF is the latest, or at least the first pro wrestler to do a cryptocurrency, and I think that's a big deal. I think it's here to stay. I think it's here for a while.
Well, you got to think that Cameron Grimes is probably going to, I would think, do something like this as well.
I think WWE is pissed that I think if WWE knew this was an option, that Cameron Grimes would have had a cryptocurrency a while ago. I think this is something that they were like, oh, why didn't we think of this with Cameron Grimes? So yeah, Cameron Grimes really should have been the first, but he was not.
No, I know, and that was a scoop there. But again, like, I don't know that I'd want to be the first person to do this. I'd rather watch somebody else do this first, and maybe I lose out a little bit on this. But again, if there's a bunch of fans that lose, $500 a piece out of nowhere, I don't heat. Sure. Yeah. You've, you're taken money out of people's pockets that were, easily influenced by a carny pro wrestler. I don't know that the New York Times looks at that story the same way as like Wrestling Inc.
It would definitely be covered differently there.
Exactly. Right? Carnies come to town, fleece the village. Okay, so let's see. We got more feedback. But first of all, here from Luca Vitelli, who broke the news here. Congrats to Cody and Brandy. # Liberty Roads. I was fact checking it here. I believe that they just gave birth.
Wow.
So congratulations to Cody and Brandy.
Within a week of Nora being born from Renee and Dean, or John Moxley.
Only a couple days, right? Wasn't that yesterday or the day before?
I think it was like 3 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago.
Man,
that's crazy.
Can't wait to see those two grow up and roll around in some glass, bull rope style.
Got the little baby glass. They got a little crib wrapped in barbed wire.
Yeah. All right. Lastly here, then we're going to jump to Nikita. Again, debuts in video form here in about half an hour. You can jump over on the YouTube channel, find that. We'll come back at the end. We're going to talk a little bit about Edge and SummerSlam. And there's a bunch of comments here, kind of grab bag style, I haven't been able to get to today. So we're going to pull more of your comments on. So stick around. Flood us with more comments. We'll do a little chat session here to wrap up in the mailbag. But lastly here, talking about AEW and making money. AEW is going to start selling their world title replica belts. We talked yesterday about they were teasing something with belts, maybe trios titles. Well, we now know it's these replica belts. They announced pre-orders for the title begin on Wednesday, June 23rd at noon Eastern. They're going to sell for $6.99 a pop. Big money.
Wow. And another historic Pro Wrestling Day on June 23rd, which is the birthday of one Alfred Konuwa. If you'll remember, June 23rd was also the Austin 316 promo. The night Kane took his mask off, June 23rd. A lot of historic things have happened on that date, and this is another one, but $699. And, you know, people are going to buy those belts. The belt collector business is a real thing. So, yes, like you said, AEW is going to make some good money off those belts, I think.
All right, that brings us to the mailbag, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you to Drew for getting that great interview with Nikita Koloff. Well over an hour. Part 1 already available on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel, and part 2 will be up here in 25 minutes if you're watching us live. If you're listening to us in audio form, it's already available, and you may have just listened to it. All right, and with that, let's dive into the mailbag. At WInc Daily, WINC Daily. That's the account to follow if you want to find out where we're live streaming, who we're live streaming with, what the daily poll is. That's the account to follow. Today's poll question stems from the following report from John Alba. WWE Hall of Famer Edge is scheduled for a match at SummerSlam. The Rated R Superstar currently penciled in for a Smackdown brand match on Saturday, August 21st. No word yet on who Edge is going to wrestle that night, but it was noted that he is scheduled to be a babyface. So I ask everyone, who do you want to see Edge face? Roman Reigns, John Cena, Seth Rollins, or somebody else? Over 200 votes here in about an hour or so. 70% want Seth Rollins, 16%,
Really?
16% John Cena, 7% Roman Reigns, and then we have a couple write-ins here we'll get to. 7 in 10 people would like to see Edge. I'm also very surprised by that.
Yeah, shocked. I thought Seth would finish at the bottom, and nothing personally against Seth. I think Seth is great as a wrestler, but this character he's done is just ice cold. And I mean, Seth is just at some point, I mean, he seems to be invested in it. It's just somebody's got to get to him and tell him that there's other things he could be doing. This version of Seth Rollins, no, I do not want to see him face Edge. I mean, Seth versus Edge could be a great match on paper, and I'm sure they could have a great match, but it would have to be a different character. This is where my Bray Wyatt comments come up. I think returning Bray Wyatt could be fun for Edge in terms of whatever he has next. He just kind of left everybody high and dry by saying he'll be back, and that was months ago. And so whatever they have next, I think him and Edge working together would keep the WWE creative away from that. And they're just both two of the greatest wrestling minds I think that there's been in the modern era. And I would be very interested in seeing what kind of story they can tell.
I'm not against it. Give something Bray to do away from Alexa Bliss. Keep her on Raw. Move Bray over to SmackDown. Yeah, I do not want to see those two reconnect. Not at this moment, at least. I voted John Cena just because I'm compelled to see what a Cena Edge match looks like this deep in their careers. I mean, they get the psychology. You're going to have fans back. You can play with those fans. I just am very interested to see what a Cena Edge match looks like now. Just be very different. But I put Rollins in there just because I was like, well, if they're going to bring it back as a babyface and they need somebody marquee, who's a top heel that would be available? Because I could see Seth winding up beating Cesaro. He's been doing jobs and honors and making Cesaro look great here since, before Mania and to this moment.
Right.
So a big win over Cesaro, that frees him up. Maybe an off the chain Seth Rollins. Maybe you talk about how he's, on ice right now. Maybe Edge is the guy to bring that spark back out, ultimate good guy, drive Seth Rollins to do some crazy stuff to try to, beat this veteran here, the wily veteran in Edge.
That's a great way to put it. If anybody could do it, I do think Edge could be the guy to kind of get Cesaro off this beaten track. Because it's funny, because as weird as his character has been, you look at the matches he's had, like that match he had against Cesaro was fantastic at WrestleMania. I thought it was very good. It's just that this character is really deterring the interest in there. But, I do have faith in Edge to be able to tell a good story alongside Seth Rollins, and maybe this will help get him back on track.
Yeah. Couple write-ins here. First, my favorite one from @6rings9880. Edge appears on SmackDown to confront Otis about his evil ways, delivers a spear. The crowd goes crazy. Wait, what's this? It's the epic return of Tucker. No, it's evil Tucker. Beatdown leads to Edge Zombie number 4 versus Heavy Machinery at SummerSlam. Wow.
What in the world?
We were having a little talk right beforehand, Alfred, about our coffee table books, right? I think that one deserves to be in the mix.
That is a candidate for sure. This is like an M. Night Shyamalan. When did he start watching pro wrestling? My goodness.
Evil Tucker. I love that. Thank you.
And the zombies.
6rings9880. Never stop being you. I will always read your tweets. You are a very funny person.
I love it.
At Ben OD 1317. Rollins or Styles? Easy. If this is going to be a WrestleMania type card, it's got to be one of those two for an absolute dream match. I don't see Styles. He's too tied up with Omos, right?
That's the thing. Styles would actually be at the top of my list, but I don't see it happening because they're kind of trending toward them against RK Bro, which I'm actually more interested in at this point.
Okay. We have Shinsuke or Cesaro from J. Cruz. Shinsuke Edge doesn't really grab me. These are both baby faces. I guess if you flipped Edge and made him a heel, maybe, but I see why they bring him back as a baby to, get people back in the seats and sell some merchandise, right?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. They need all the help they can get in that department.
Raj Mooker, AJ, Seth, or Finn, and Finn's obviously not going to happen because of NXT. All right, let me read some comments here from the comments section. Oh man, I got to scroll back up here. All right, Edge versus Big E, Nick and Alfred. Well, just maybe thank you, Jason. Big E, babyface. Don't see it. What about Braddock here? I could see Edge versus Apollo Crews for the IC title.
I would have no problem with that. That'd be huge for Apollo. And they're doing a lot with Apollo Crews.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and we have Phil, Sammy, or Seth. Sami Zayn. I saw a couple people write in here for Sami Zayn.
I didn't think about that. They could be fun. It's just they couldn't do as much comedy with him. He'd have to get a little more serious so that they could justify a feud with Edge.
Phil also saying, I personally think Bray is done with WWE. They haven't mentioned him in the Bliss storyline. I don't think he's done because he tweeted that "Do you miss me yet?" thing after the zombie match. So I definitely get the vibe he's still very much in the mix, right?
Yeah, but didn't that seem like kind of a shot at WWE? I think what he was saying is like, you thought my stuff was bad. Like, look how bad that was. I think that was the gist of that tweet. And there were those weird rumors going around that, Bray's next. So there's nothing to read into. I think he's still here. I'd be shocked if he got released in any capacity. And it would be one of the great tragedies in terms of the potential they had with that Firefly Funhouse character that was just selling merchandise like crazy in terms of collector's items and what eventually became of it. If that's the last we saw of Bray Wyatt, what a tragedy.
Dino Garofalo, maybe Edge versus Roman since Roman double pinned he and Bryan. Edge was pinning Bryan. It's a stretch. No, I went back with Jimmy Corderas about this. Both guys had their shoulders on the mat. Roman pinned both of them. Like, they both got pinned. One did not pin the other. They were both pinned at the same time.
I saw that. That was fantastic. I just have to say that was fantastic investigative journalism by you, Nick Hausman, that you got one of the greatest referees of all time, really, to come on and clarify that, because that was going around after WrestleMania. I saw that tweets a lot, but you really cleared that up. I thought that was great.
Give me any topic. I'll dive deep. Pins, unionization, right?
Hell yeah.
Health insurance. I don't care what it is. Just give me a topic. We'll run with it. We also, just to put a pin on Dino's comment here, don't see that happening. And man, after the poll results here, with 7% of people saying they'd like to see Roman Edge, I'm not saying that this is like the stuff you take to WWE HQ necessarily, but it does not look like the interest would be there to go back to Roman and Edge at this point, like it would be for Edge to work with somebody fresh.
Yeah, with Seth. Yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder what they see in that. I think they're just seeing for the potential of the best match. There are some similarities with Seth Rollins and Edge that you can kind of play up, but I thought they did a good job drawing those similarities between Roman Reigns and Edge during WrestleMania. I thought Edge cut that great promo where he talked about you're in a 3-man group, you ran through the crowd and used a spear. I thought that was really well done.
Tag Predicts is saying The Fiend is advertised for the August 9th Raw. I didn't know that.
Really? The Fiend? That's interesting.
Let's see here. The Fiend.
Because that was
night WWE Raw. Okay, this should pop right up. The Fiend. I am not seeing this, and I Googled it. So send me a link. Put a link if you put a link here in the comments section to prove that, we'll verify it. Thank you, Ted.
The bottom of that.
Real quickly, we kind of touched on earlier, but Davidian saying, Nick and Alfred, I got Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman against Ray inside Hell in a Cell on SmackDown tonight for the Universal Championship. Who do you guys got? Roman.
Definitely Roman. It would be the story of the year if Roman Reigns lost that title in any capacity tonight.
See, but I kind of think that Jungle Boy has a shot with Kenny Omega, just because AEW's viewership has been so down through this weird period. If you're trying to create, you got to tune in on Saturday night. I mean, you got to tune in to see Jungle Boy win the title. I know it's a little hot shotty, but I could see him doing it.
I will be tuning into that match with in the back of my mind, Jungle Boy might win. I mean, in addition to those reasons you stated, Kenny Omega is also very banged up. And I just the fact that he's doing this belt collector gimmick, I think the AEW title shouldn't be the first one he loses. I think that would completely tank this gimmick. But it might be a sign that he's going to go away for a while. But yeah, there is an outside chance that Jungle Boy could win this match. I'm not picking him to, but there's an outside chance.
We also have here from Eli Wax, Edge versus Chad Gable can be good, or Edge versus the returned Jey Usos, and Jimmy Uso, I guess.
He meant Jimmy Uso. But yeah, I think Jimmy Uso has been arguably the best performer since he's returned. I mean, him, Roman, and Jay have all been fantastic, but Jimmy Uso is just next level in terms of how believable he is delivering these lines on TV.
All right, and lastly here, we'll do one for Praddock, just because Praddock is his non sequiturs are always they tickle me. Hey, Nick and Alfred, is WWE considering Wrestling World Cup tournament involving every brand? I don't think, maybe. I don't know, Praddock. I'm going to say no.
I'd love it. It would be like WCW versus the World, which is one of the all-time underrated video games.
Man, I guess the last one I have to read is Dino. Goldberg still has a match left in his contract this year. They don't use him for Edge versus Edge out of nowhere. Do they? Spear versus Spear?
I mean, I guess that'd be so odd to get to. And I just, Edge is a pro, so I think he can actually get a pretty good match out of Goldberg. That would seem like oil and water in terms of getting people interested for Edge and Goldberg. But I mean, hopefully they'd have more than just Spear versus Spear.
Yeah. All right. Hey, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. I want to thank you, Alfred, so much for taking the time to talk the news of the day with me. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are coming back Monday with a loaded show. It is going to be the post Hell in a Cell edition of the Daily, and here live for you all to watch and communicate with my guest co-host on Monday is going to be Jimmy Corderas.
Hell yeah.
We always like to have Jimmy on the week after a pay-per-view to get his thoughts. Michael is going to be out on assignment on Monday. I had a gap. I said, well, let's just have Jimmy do the show live. You guys can ask Jimmy what he thought of the show. It's going to be a very fun experience. We've never done anything like that where we're going to have Jimmy live here with me. So that'll be Monday. And on Monday, as part of the audio show and premiering over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel, the interview for Monday is going to be Frankie Monet from NXT. So huge daily. Jimmy Corderas is the guest co-host, and we're going to have Frankie Monet as the guest on Monday. Banger. Really good stuff, guys. I promise you it's going to be a very, very strong start to the week. Also, if you like this show, go support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your socials. And, of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast, which, again, Alfred is going to be on tonight after SmackDown. We'll have a post Hell in a Cell show on Sunday night as well. And you can go find the Wrestling Inc. podcast, of course, live at nights, but also on the RSS feed for the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Alfred, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Just follow me on Twitter at This Is Nasty. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pro Wrestling Bits, and I will see you guys later on tonight after Roman Reigns versus Edge right here. Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio right here on Wrestling Inc. We're going to do a SmackDown show. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got Edge on the mind. By the way, from our New York City Demon Diva, hello, Alfred and Nick. And then
hey, she'll be on the show tonight.
Another compliment for your shirt. Everybody loves the shirt.
Yeah.
So I gotta get better clothes because I'm not that cool. Thank you all. I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, the brand new episode of Pro Wrestling for Life with Sean Waltman and I dropped yesterday. We had Matt Cardona. We had Effie. It's another great show. Support this, support that. Support pro wrestling. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the cell. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.